So it's that time of year again where we're supposed to all be merry and filled with joy, and we're all loving and compassionate and giving. And magically, the season is supposed to make us all happy, except that's not true. Not everybody likes Christmas. We're going to look at that in today's episode of the podcast series, Help in Crisis 246, where we focus on what to do in a mental or emotional crisis and where to find help. Now, as you may know if you've been following the series, we really focus on teaching self-help techniques during moments of panic, overwhelm, sadness, depression, to kind of get you out of the gunk and to keep you from the edge. Now, what better time to need some extra support than during the Christmas holidays? You might have lost a loved one during the season, or even if they didn't lose them during the season, the whole family gatherings, it amplifies their absence, and you might find yourself particularly sad. Some people feel particularly lonely during this period. And, various reasons. You mightn't have the finances to enjoy Christmas the way you see your co-workers and other family and friends enjoying it. And all these factors multiplied or collectively or even individually can make it a particularly difficult time. So today, we're going to get some advice from various people, some of whom you might recognize, who give us some tips on how they navigate the holidays. I will also share later on the fact that I don't celebrate Christmas, and I'll tell you my reason why.
Bah, humbug. Is it okay to be miserable at Christmas? Of course it is. Especially when you are dealing with memories of grief and loss. And while Christmas is something that very often we start to celebrate because there are a variety of things that we might also be sort of grieving at this particular time of the year, just be aware that your feelings of grief and loss are normal and they probably will intensify during the season.
July 2nd, 2017, while out of town on a business trip, I got a call from my dad's doctor saying that if I wanted to see him alive, I needed to make it to the hospital immediately. When I left on my trip just 2 days prior, my dad and I joked about what I was going to fix him to eat when he was released when I got back. I traveled all day to get to him, and shortly after I arrived, he passed away. I was numb, but he left behind my mom, the love of his life and partner of 50 years, so my focus was on her. Little did I know, no matter what I said or what I did, it wasn't going to stop her from wanting to be with him. And just 4 short months later, my mom passed away too. I was in such a deep state of sadness that I literally would leave my house and just cry. I would leave the house because I didn't want my children or my husband to know how depressed I was. It's been 5 years, and Christmas is still an extremely difficult time in my home. Christmas was my mom's favorite holiday, and our focus was around my parents. But I've learned that grief is a journey, just like life. You never get over it. You just make adjustments. So what I try to do at Christmas is create new memories. Instead of focusing on the 2 empty seats that are at the dinner table, what I've done is begun to invite other friends who have suffered loss to come and fill the home with laughter. I never forget, but I create new memories. And I honor my parents whenever I desire, whenever my heart feels full. I honor them through story, through pictures, through postings. Like life, grief is a journey. So challenge yourself to feel it, push through it, and create new memories.
Hey guys, happy holidays. I know we're all super busy. So as a mom, a small business owner, I want to just come on here and share my perspective on how you can kind of keep sane in this busy time of year. Usually for private chefs, when everyone's kind of chilling out and calming down, we are amped up trying to make everybody happy with the food that they want for Christmas. These are a few things that I personally do to kind of help me stay grounded. So first and most importantly, I think when we say boundaries, we think of boundaries with adults, but I set boundaries with my children. As much as I love them and I love spending time with them, they have to understand that my time is as important as theirs. So when I need a little me time and I don't need to maybe have any assistance, I will set them some activities to keep them busy, whether it be reading, their artwork, and I set aside some time for myself to kind of show them to respect people's boundaries and to ensure that I have some time for myself. I try to be patient myself. I encourage you to do the same and just enjoy the moment. And I hope you guys have a great holiday season. Come say hi. Bye, guys.
Celebrating Christmas when you have been recently divorced or been separated is very difficult. So the first thing I like to do is to acknowledge how difficult it can be. For good reason. One of the things that you're recently experiencing is that you're experiencing a loss. There's going to be grief, and there's going to be a variety of negative feelings. Divorce and separation usually leads to significant disruption. It may lead to disruption in terms of your current living arrangements and just sort of your current experiences with regards to family. There are a variety of different ways that you can cope with regards to divorce and separation, especially at Christmas time, especially when you have children, is making sure that you keep connected to your children because they will also be affected by that separation or divorce. One of the things that we know in terms of the family therapy research is that children do a much better job when their parents have separated or divorced, when parents are working on coordinating together in terms of care for those children. Parents don't need to be on the same page. What they need to be is on the same page with regards to making sure that children get adequate support and care.
Hey everyone, my name is Cece. Some of you might know me from radio broadcasting, but I'm speaking to you today as a mom. So Christmas is usually very stressful for a lot of people. I understand why. I'm not huge into Christmas, but being the mom of a little one, I try to get into the festive spirit and stuff like that. And, working in broadcasting, this is one of our busiest times. So Christmas is very hard on my son. It has broken my heart. He said to me the other day, Mommy, other mommies don't work like you. You work 24/7. And that did kick in the mom guilt, and it did hurt a little bit. My son is also born 3 days before Christmas, December 22nd. So it's also a very stressful time with that. He's never had a birthday, so I'm really working hard. I really wanted to do one this year for him. So this year, I have turned down a couple gigs just because I know he's going to remember me spending time with him. He's going to remember the time spent versus, maybe the present that he receives. So I'm trying my best to not go crazy and not go overboard. And sometimes I feel the mom guilt does kick in, and I do want to go overboard with presents and making something special. And, but he really just wants some time with mom. So he'll get some time with mom. He'll get presents too. So it's really just about listening to the little ones and seeing what they want and not comparing. I try to not compare. It's really hard sometimes. It's like, okay, well, I should have a tree. I don't have a tree up. I should do this. I should do that. It's really just a matter of what suits you and your family. For me, my advice to other moms out there, other parents out there, is just to kind of spend time, be present, put down the phone sometimes, and really just be present for that moment, especially for the little ones. They just kind of want our time and attention, to play with them, to do crafts with them, to, play football, do whatever. So sometimes it's not about the presents, it's about the presence. It's hard to remember that sometimes because we want to provide for our kids the best we can. And I think at this time of the year, don't compare yourself to other people, don't compare yourself to other families. Do what's best for you, make your own traditions, kind of just make that time together special.
I'm a Christmas person on one hand, and no, I'm not a Christmas person. Like, it's not saying that I grew up with, it's not saying that I would have had like some other people would have had. My family had get-togethers because some people celebrate Christmas, some people didn't. My mom didn't, my dad did. So if I'm home by myself and I don't really care to really get down with Christmas, it don't happen. And if I feel like reaching out to people, like this year I'm buying gifts for friends because I just feel like. So I enjoy it one or the other, whether just eating or drinking or liming or just chilling out with myself. I just find a way to enjoy it. Because of how we might be socialized, we might feel like we must do stuff even when we don't have the means to do it. If you don't have enough money to celebrate Christmas the way you want, you can't buy gifts for your spouse, your girlfriend, your children or friends or whatever. Communicate with your close circle, let them know look, things tight or whatever, and be creative with it. You might be able to buy cards or record a video, tell them how much they mean to you. If you have limited funds, you have enough that you can buy like a shared game, like a Taboo, a Monopoly with your children. Create an experience, cook food, use what you have. make it fun, because I could say for sure as a person, I like great experiences. Gifts that cost a lot, or it could be meaningful too, but great experiences to me are most important. If you get to the point where you say, as you say, catch your hand, you already have those experiences there already. So be creative, make it happen. If you feel down during the season for whatever reason, maybe the loss of somebody that is important to you, or maybe for whatever reason is not your thing, you might be lonely or whatever, I think it's really, really important to reach out to somebody. It's easy as men to bottle things up and say we're socialized in many ways to do that. That does not help at all. Now remember, if you do not say how you feel, no one will know how you feel. It's important to say how you feel. If people don't listen, that's at them. But it's your responsibility to say how you feel so you can have the experience that you want. So if you need friends to hang out with you during Christmas because it's something that you need personally, let people know. It's on them if they disappoint you, but it's at you to say how you feel, because you deserve to have a Merry Christmas just like everybody else.
Now, I mentioned earlier that I don't celebrate Christmas. My reason for not celebrating is not religious, because that's often the first thing people think. It has nothing to do with religion. So story time. Now, I'm Jamaican and I've been living in Barbados for well over 20 years. And certainly for the first 10 or more years of being here, I always spent Christmas with various families. Somewhere along the line, it became one family that I would consistently spend Christmas with. Love them to death. So every year I would spend Christmas with them, and they'd have a huge Christmas luncheon. And I would say for the first 7 or 8 years of doing that, I completely enjoyed it. I was into the merriment. But then I began to realize that whenever I went home after the gathering, I feel really, really depressed. And I'd spend the next couple of days like questioning my life choices and not feeling too happy about myself. And I had to figure out, why do I always feel depressed when I leave? And it was this. Every year I went among the same people, they would ask me the same set of questions. Why you not married yet? When you going couple up? You're not going to have no pitney? See you're not getting any younger? Why you don't eat more? But it was always the same set of questions. And sadly, my answers never changed much. And I began to think to myself, maybe I should be married by now. Maybe I should have had 2 children or 3. Maybe. Because I was judging my own life and life choices by what other people thought I should have. And they meant well, they meant really, really well. But the questions would eventually depress me. And so one year, I think it was back in 2011, that year I had a breakup. And I didn't feel like going to the luncheon to explain why the boyfriend wasn't there, why I still hadn't married, if I'm afraid I'm gonna die alone. I didn't feel like doing it. So I remember I called my family friend, who was like a father to me, and I said, I'm not coming this year. And he's like, why not? And I said, well, I'm kind of depressed and, the breakup, I just want some time alone. And he's like, that doesn't make sense. If you're depressed, you need people around you. And, he meant well, but he did not agree and he got upset about it. I held my ground. I didn't go. That year, I decided, I did always like the Christmas cake and I did always like the cooking. So I decided to cook this big spread for myself. And I took my time and I ate the food and I had such a relaxing day. At the end of the day, I felt good. The next day, I wasn't depressed. I wasn't sad. I wasn't comparing my life. Nothing. And I felt good. So when Christmas came around the next year, I decided I wasn't going again. And essentially, from that time till then, every year I do Christmas the same way, which is doing it my way. And I spend Christmas absolutely by myself. In fact, I even turn off the phone because I find the merriment kind of sickening, but that's just me. Nothing's wrong with the merriment. I'm saying for me, I don't like just the random Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. I always wonder, what am I supposed to do with that? So I turn off my phone so I don't have to deal with it. But I chose to set boundaries and do Christmas my way because I have found I have a really good Christmas not celebrating Christmas. So the takeaway from today's episode is that you need to set boundaries during Christmas and do Christmas your way. No point letting the holiday season send you to the edge or off the edge. No point spending money you don't have or being around family members you don't like or engaging in toxic relationships when just because of a season of the year. Because your mental health is going to matter on the 26th of December, on the 27th, on the 28th, etc. So don't do things that will send you over the edge or close to it just for the sake of one day. Do what you must to make Christmas your own and to preserve your mental health. So I hope you found something encouraging during this episode that might give you the strength to create necessary boundaries for the season. And of course, if you enjoy celebrating, go right ahead, but celebrate it your way. If things get pretty rough during the season or even today, consider reaching out to any of these helpline numbers to get some support. But thanks for joining me for another episode. I encourage you, especially during the holidays, to make your mental wellness a priority. Happy holidays.